All right, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 5, Solve Multi-Step Equations. This is actually the last lesson in this chapter, so it's a very short chapter for you guys. Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk about. This first box up here says Solve Multi-Step Equations. Okay, so some equations contain expressions with grouping symbols. To solve these equations, first expand the expression using the distributive property, then collect like terms if needed, and solve the equation using the properties of equality. Okay? So you can have different types of solutions. You can have what's called a null set, which means there are no solutions. Okay? So and it will end up looking something like 4 equals 0 at the end. Well, 4 can't equal 0, so there's no solution. Okay? There could be one given solution. So you could have x equals 10, x equals 4, whatever the case may be. Your variable equals a specific number. Okay? Or you could have what's called the identity. Okay? The identity is many solutions. You can have more than one solution. Okay, so there's 3 different types. The null set, one solution, or the identity. Okay, an identity looks like you have 2 numbers, like 2 equals 2 or 3 equals 3, something that you know will always be true. So anytime you plug in a number, it will always equal that other number on the other side of the equation. Okay, so some equations have no solution. When this occurs, the solution is the blank, or empty set. So in those 2 blanks, you're going to write null set. Null set. Or empty set, and is shown by the symbol or just empty brackets. Other equations may have every number as their solution. An equation that is true for every value of the variable is called an blank. In that blank, you're going to write identity. So identity. So let's take a look at some examples. Example number 1 says solve 15 times 20 plus d equals 420. Okay, so first thing that I want to look at, is I want to use my distributive property in order to solve this. So I want to distribute 15 to everything that's inside the parentheses. So I want to distribute the 15 to the 20 and the 15 to the d. Okay, 15 times 20 gives me 300. 15 times d gives me 15d. Okay, then I have 420 because that's what it equals. So I have 300 plus 15d equals 420. Okay, this is solving a 2-step equation. Okay, so stuff we learned a couple lessons ago. I'm going to subtract 300 from both sides. 300 minus 300, this cancels. 420 minus 300 gives me 120. So I'm left with 15d equals 120. I divide both sides by 15. This cancels, becoming 1. I have d equals 8. Okay. Number 2. Number 2 says solve 6 times x minus 3 plus 10 equals 2 times the quantity 3x minus 4. Again, I use the distributive property. 6 to the x, 6 to the 3, 2 to the 3, and 2 to the 4. Okay? 6 times x gives me 6x. 6 times negative 3 gives me negative 18. Plus 10 equals 2 times 3x gives me 6x. And 2 times negative 4 gives me negative 8. Okay? Now I have an equation with variables on both sides. So I want to get the variables by itself. Completely up to you. You can do it whichever way you would like. I'm going to add 8 to both sides first. Okay, this cancels. This also cancels. Now I'm left with 6x equals x. And I can divide both sides by 6. Well, x equals x. Well, that's always true, right? No matter what, x will always equal x. So the equation is an identity. And the solution set is all real numbers. Okay? All right. So I can always double check. I can pick any number that I would like. Let's say 5. Okay, as long as I plug in 5. Okay? So I have 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 10 is 22. On this side, 3 times 5 is 15, minus 4 is 11. 11 times 2 is 22, so it does work. You can try it for other numbers too. It'll work every time. All right, example number 3 says solve 8 times 4 minus 2x equals 4 times the quantity 3 minus 5x plus 4x. Okay, so I want to distribute the 8, distribute the 4. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 2x is 16x. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 5 is 20. So 20x plus 4x. Okay, I want to simplify over here. Negative 20x plus 4x, so I combine my like terms, is negative 16x. Okay. Now I can add 16x to both sides. This cancels. This cancels. I'm left with 32 equals 12. 32 cannot equal 12. There's no way, okay, in any world that 32 will equal 12, which means this is a null set or an empty set. Okay, you can always double check. You can plug in any number that you would like. Let's say 0, or let's say 2. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. 8 times 0 is 0. 3 minus 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 minus 10 is negative 7. Negative 7 times 4 is negative 28. Plus 8 gives me negative 20. Okay? So it doesn't work. You can plug in any number, it will never work. Alright, so there are a couple of try it problems that I want you to attempt. Pause the video, go ahead, try them out. When you are done, we will come back and work on them together. Alright, now that you have tried the try it problems, let's work together. Okay, the first one says A, negative 3 times the quantity 9 plus x equals 33. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to rewrite my equation. Okay. So A equals negative 3 times the quantity 9 plus x equals 33. Okay, then I want to use the distributive property to distribute this negative 3 to everything inside my parentheses. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x equals 33. I want to get x by itself. So I have a negative 27. I want to add 27 to both sides of my equation. So now I have negative 3x equals 33 plus 27 gives me 60. So I have negative 3x equals 60. And divide both sides by negative 3. When I do that, I get x equals, and it's positive divided by a negative, so I get a negative 20. So x equals negative 20. All right, for letter B, I have 5 times the quantity a minus 7 equals 25. Okay, again, I want to distribute the 5 to everything inside the parentheses. 5 times a gives me 5a. 5 times 7 gives me negative 35 equals 25. I'm going to add 35 to both sides. I get 5a equals 60. Then I'm going to divide by 5. So a equals 12. Okay. Letter C says 3 times the quantity 6 minus 4x equals negative 2 times the quantity 6x minus 9. So again, I want to use the distributive property. Distribute the 3, distribute the negative 2. Okay. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 4x is minus 12x. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12x. Negative 2 times 9 is positive 18. Okay. I want to get both of these. So I want to get the x's by itself. So I can either add 12x or I can subtract 18. I'm going to go ahead and add 12x to both sides. This cancels and this cancels. I'm left with 18 equals 18. Well, that is always a true statement, so this is an identity. Okay. All right, then letter D is 2 times the quantity 3x plus 5 equals 5 times the quantity 2x minus 4 minus 4x. Okay, I'm going to use the distributive property. Distribute everything inside the parentheses. Okay, 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 2x is 10x. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, in like terms, I have 6x plus 10. 10x minus 4x is 6x minus 20. Okay, I'm going to subtract both sides by 6x. This cancels. I'm left with 10 equals negative 20. Well, that's not a true statement. Can't be a true statement. 10 does not equal negative 20. Okay, so this means this is a null set or an empty set. Okay. So for letter D is null set. You could write empty set. You could use that symbol, or you could use the brackets like that. Any of those would be acceptable. And that is the end of lesson 5.